Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dennis Duke Uganda, and of course today we are going to talk about goat rearing. Anything to do with goat rearing. For those of you who've been asking me videos on goat rearing, today we have a young but yet very enterprising farmer, and that's none other than Carol Zawede, who will be of course taking us through the entire process of how to actually start up a goat farm, how to manage goats. I mean, they are not very easy animals. Some of them are, as you can see, they are trying to spur them, but they are running up and down. So we want to understand how easy is that, or how hard is that, and we shall be doing that of course in a few, so stick around. So today we're here, Carol, we want to understand the goats business, goats rearing. What does it take one to start a goats farm?
To me, I feel and I think it's one of the easiest venture to start in farming. First of all, before anyone thinks about goats, be passionate about goat farming. Be passionate about farming. Secondly, goats don't ask for much. Just like other things like chicken or pigs or what that need to be fed, you know, intensive feeding. So goats, when you're having a grazing place, maybe you have secured your piece of land, or if you don't have a piece of land, we are having many chunks of land for lease. 3 is the most important one, how to build the structures. I know most of the farmers make their biggest mistake when they're entering goat farming and build very expensive pens or goat housing. Yet the real meaning of goat farming are the goats, you know. So I always advise my people who come to visit us here at the demo farm, also who get contact through phone or WhatsApp, that you have to start with best structures. If I told you have the standard structures that it has to be having aeration, drainage, you know, I know Dennis Duke will show you some of my structures here at the demo farm. Very basic and very encouraging to start, yet it does the same production as the big, the high, the big, the really made pens, you know. So when you're starting, consider, the other thing is to consider the breeds to start with. I always advise my people also to start with our local breeds, like the ones we have found at the demo farm. With the locals, one, they are resistant, though their growth rate is not compared to the crosses. But still, if you're a starter, I feel a local is good. It's a good teacher for you to start, because you're going to use this not so expensive breed to start with. It's not a high maintenance. It's good for learning. Then after, you can advance to the crossbreeds, you know, which are growing faster, attain meat very quick, but with intensive care. So somebody has started their goat business, or they want to start. What is it that you think takes the biggest share of the capital? The stocking. The stocking? Yes. Ah, like the breeds. Yep. How expensive are they, by the way? Let's talk about that. Depending where you are sourcing these breeds from, but from us, our local females, Mobende, are 250. Then the bucks go between 400 to 600. Those are local bucks, like the ones in the background. Then the crosses, between females, between 450 to 600. Then males from 800 to 2.5. Those are crosses. Okay. So depending on where you're going to access your breeders, price depends, but I think we have the best prices. Okay. Yeah. So somebody wants to start, but they don't know what sort of breed or varieties on the market they should go for, and for what reason they should go for that one. Briefly, if you could take us through the different breeds of goats that we have on the market and those that are sought after. Okay. On the market, if you're talking about the meat goats, we have of course, I'm going to start with our local. We have the local Mubende, we have the Chigezi, we have the small East African dwarf that does not grow, it's always small size, which farmers don't even prefer at their farms. Then we have the Boa, South African Boas and South African Savannah. Kalahari, though they are not so common. The Gala, also not so common from Kenya, but all those breeds are on the market.
What is the biggest challenge that you have faced as a goats farmer?
One, I will still say that drugs and vaccines on the market. You treat. Then again, I will say labor. You know, the kind of workers you always have at the farm, if you are not too keen and not too tight, you may not have production.
Talk about the mortality rate in goats. Isn't it as high as it is in chickens and rabbitry?
You know, when it comes to goats, when you are still in your learning curve, mortality is okay. Don't even worry, don't even lose strength or what, because you are still learning. But when you have been into the system and you're still having mortality, just know there is a problem somewhere. But with vaccination, good taking care of, and recalls to avoid inbreeding, I think mortality can be reduced. Though there is always that, you know, those people who studied math always give us at least 5%. But if you are going more than 5%, then there is a problem. There is a question mark somewhere.
That's if you're talking about the mortality.
Yes.
You shouldn't go beyond 5%. That's too much. Okay, you talked about something to do with inbreeding. Briefly explain to us. Me, I don't know. What is inbreeding even? So
with goats are like us people, especially the Baganda. They have buko, you know. A mother is not supposed to get pregnant from the son. The father is not supposed to meet the daughter. The brothers are not supposed to meet with a sister. Yes, so that is inbreeding. So every time you're seeing that your goats are going to do inbreeding, please remove the bucks, remove the male ones and introduce new ones. Yes. Okay.
What happens when they do inbreeding?
One, the stick growth. They don't grow very well. The sickness, overheat, at times they become weak. You know, their production
is low.
Is very low.
Okay.
Yeah. Also their mortality, because, you know.
Okay. So I have started my farm. How is it like managing goats? What do goats feed on? Is it just grass?
Yeah. When you're having a big space with shrubs, goats are good to go. You know. But it also depends on the number. I may say big space and someone having 2 acres and having 5 goats saying that, oh, I need a very, very big space. No, it depends on the number you're having to determine a space. With 1 acre, you can put at least between 20 to 25 goats. So there at least you can know the space I'm talking about. Goats feed on things we have, you know, the shrubs. At times they eat the bisui. But also if you are to supplement, especially in the rainy season, we do supplement hay, silage, brewer waste, all those you can, then fermented maize bran, all that you can supplement them.
Okay. Yeah. What about water? How important is water in goat keeping?
Water, just like in a personal life, everyone needs water. So goats too drink water, and they also need water. Yes.
Okay. Why goat rearing? Why didn't you go into pig? Why didn't you go into cattle? And you chose goat rearing to be specific.
You know, when you're choosing something you're going to farm, you always have to consider if their main factor favors you. With goats, its main factor is feeding. So feeding, I think feeding goats is very easy compared to other things. It's not too demanding because it's a matter of taking them to the grazing area, then bringing them back. That's all. Maybe till you have to, you know, supplement, of which not in most cases you don't need to, unless you're in rains, like we're in rains, that you won't let them go graze when the grazing area is wet. That's when you can introduce. So their feeding is very easy, one, and their maintenance, by the way. Yes, very easy.
What are the common diseases that affect the goats?
Goats, we have cough, flu, fever, dios, foot rot. Yeah, but all manageable. That's what I can say.
Okay. Yes. Where is the market for goats?
Do you still even have that question for market for goats?
I mean, yes, there are people who could have goats and they're like, I failed to get market, I don't see markets.
You
Where's
know,
the
market for goats is everywhere.
Okay.
Right now, locally, we can't attend to the demand. You see, right now, the prices for goat meat is almost reaching 22, because right now it's at 20. That is showing demand. For the meat that was at 15, and right now it's at 20, that means there is a lot of demand for goat market. So if you're talking about anything about goats, we don't even talk about because market is available.
Okay.
Yes.
If somebody wanted to start goat farming tomorrow, what advice would you give them? Or what are the things you tell her or him not to do that you perhaps did in the beginning and cost you?
The list is long.
Please let them know.
One, don't invest a lot of money in structures. Just know what a standard structure needs. Like as we have here, we have when you're doing your goat pen, make sure it has a main flock where newly served nannies are or yet to be served. Make sure it is having a maternate where heavily pregnant go to, and those ones that have just kidded. Make sure it is having a sick bay where you isolate the sick goats or the newly brought in. Make sure you have a back corner, because we back stay alone from the females, we just introduce them. That is a standard goat structure, goat pen. Please, please, make sure you go in for the lowest cost structures, because it's the biggest mistake we always do. We use a lot of money in building structure rather than buying the stock.
Okay.
Then secondly, start small, but not too small. When we so small, someone wants to start with 2. When you start with too small or too little number, you always use the same money you should have used to the next. You know, what am I trying to say? If you start with 10, the same expenses you use on 10 goats is the same you use on 30.
Okay.
The medication, the boy chasing after them, you know, the spraying, the same. If you go down for calculations, you will see that you're doing the same. So make sure you're starting small, but not too small, because at the end of the day, the expense will be still on you. And yet you don't have enough production. Thirdly, consider a better grazing area where you'll see your goats will be satisfied when they go to graze. Then vaccinate. It's the new normal, as I said. Most people say that I've stocked local, I don't need to vaccinate. Please do. We are having so many viruses and what you'll need to vaccinate not to lose your stock.
Okay.
Then routines. Make sure you have routines on your farm. I will show you our routine there at the main flock.
By routine you mean?
Daily practices or weekly or monthly practices we are supposed to do. Okay. Like weekly we have to spray here, we have to deworm after 2-3 months depending on the season, you know. We have to vaccinate. Some vaccines are for a year. So those routines
must be followed.
Yes. Then you have daily routines your boys have to follow. Make sure you pin them somewhere so that they don't say that they forgot to. Just like I did. Your daily routine, like waking up, isolating the sick, cleaning the pen, giving them maybe feeds if you're supplementing them in the morning. You know, those daily routines. What time are they supposed to take the goats? Because they're not supposed to take them when they're still dew, the morning dew, you know? Make sure you have routines. With that will help you in management. Because if you don't have routines, you're going to get a problem with what they're supposed to do and what time. It will affect production.
How long does a goat take to be mature for mating?
Okay, it depends which breed. Our local breeds take long. They can take 1.5 years to 1 and 3 months. But when you go to Boer and Savannah crosses, they are ready for mating at 8. At 8 they start going on heat. But to have a better babies and not to affect the mother, I always push up to a year to give them a back to be served. Yes. And
how long does it take with the pregnancy?
5 months.
5 months?
Yep.
It gives birth.
Yep.
Usually around how many kids or babies?
It depends. At a time 1 or 2. We don't go beyond 2. Actually, we even removed mothers that we are giving 3 because it was becoming headache.
Hey,
No,
I want multiple, like I want things to multiply easily
yes,
and quicker.
but feeding them, maintaining them to growth, it becomes a little bit impossible, and you end up losing all. The mother only has 2 teats, so what will happen? So they keep on struggling to feed, so they end up not all taking in well. And when you go to bottle feeding, again, it's a lot of struggling to supervise these boys, to clean, to do what. So we just decided to drop that and get what we can maintain well. Yeah.
Okay. This is a bit personal, but what has goat rearing done for you?
Ever since we went commercial with goat farming, we have been able to expand here. It wasn't this big, this farm. We have been able to introduce other sectors, the ones we mentioned earlier the other time. So it is because of goat farming that we have introduced these others. Then also creating the environment we are in right now. The good recreation, the everything. It has been goat farming. Okay. Yes.
Guys, I think I'm going to start goat rearing after watching or after talking to Carol Zawede from Emily's Farms right here in Zirobe. One thing that, of course, I got from her experience is that goat farming is yet a good enterprise, but only if you do not invest so much in the structures, but rather invest so much in the breeds that you actually keeping, because then that's the actual business. You're not investing in structures because structures don't produce. It's the breeds that actually produce. From the entire team at here at Duke's Farm, we love you so much. Lady, my lady, of course, she's also is behind the camera sometimes. Sometimes she's on the screen. In this video, she hasn't featured, but just know she's done quite a lot of work behind the cameras. Until then, it's a goodbye. Please follow me on different social media platforms at Dense Duke UG.